So be remiss if we don't look into ways that the No-Gi Peruvian can actually work into here, right? Especially when our opponent, most of what you're going to see is intelligent defenses are going to be defeating this gi if he's unable to defeat the actual turtle escape position, right? So when he's inside of this turtle control, our opponent may, if you're looking up here, he might get both of his hands inside of the gi, underneath his body, right? And I won't be able to pull through because he's going to have so much pressure. Me actually falling loose, I'll actually separate and rip the gi out of my controlling hand that's underneath. That's not what I'm going to be looking for. So what we're going to see is that I'm going to take from my gi position, I'm going to reach over and grab my wrist with the free hand and release the gi. If his hands are still attached to the gi, his hands are occupied and aren't able for him to defend himself. But we're going to use this grip to actually choke him. It's going to look like this from that Peruvian control position. I go through. He puts both his hands inside the lapel. All right, lift up. See, he's in there. That's going to be an issue. I'm going to reach over, and I'm just doing this towards the camera. This is going to be a little bit more when I do some more of the demonstrations underneath him. I'm reaching over, and I'm putting 5 fingers over that wrist. So the back hand, 5 fingers over the wrist, and I'm looking over the top. So my body's still positioned over the top. Also the most important part, if I let his head come off the ground, and he's here, he can grab the outside leg and start to dump me over. I have to keep his head on the ground. So now when he tries to stand up, it's hard. I'm actually pressing down. I'm using a lot of that shoulder rotation pressure, a little bit of my arm, and really pressing him down into the ground. So we're going to do the same step overs. So there's 2 different ways that I find useful to finishing this. I step over with both feet, and sit down. So it's going to be an actual almost full stand-up position. So one of the there's a way that you're going to find success with this, and there's going to be a way that you're going to find a lot of weird variation, and that is always going to be dependent on which foot steps over first. So if I rotate my knees, right, I stand up and I step my leg over, I'm already in a position to kind of fall backwards from the traditional way that we're used to. The problem is that I won't have all that room to lean back. And so my left leg that's in the back has to get over his hips. To do that, I lean over and I lock. And my hands are going to come up. So I'm falling back so you can see my hands. So I have my hands slid down to my hand. The same actions that choked him before will do it here. I'm not pulling with these hands. I'm stretching with my leg to force him into the choke. This next demonstration, you're not going to see him roll up. He's going to be stuck kind of low and getting choked. Right? Like this. Slide in. He wraps both his hands in there. That's not a problem. I get both of my wrists together. I step over. I'm up in the air. As I step over, I'm going to rock back, and I'm going to stretch my leg. It is super interesting to be caught in. So now let's talk about that second variation. Now, there's a way that you end up having a hard trouble standing up and getting over the person. Actually having certain angles with people, or some guys are just wider partners. So when I step in here, instead of stepping over with that rear foot, I'm still gonna go here. If I feel both hands, I can't get these together, I wrap my hands together, I step my leg over, but this time I'm gonna sit back. So I'm gonna open up my knee, just to make sure that my knee's on the outside of his body, and when I step back, he's gonna roll over to his side a little bit. I'm taking my foot, and I'm pressing into his calf, if you can see here, right? So I'm gonna be pushing him away. When my hands are reunited against him, it's gonna make it so that his body can't jump over. So now when he's stuck inside this position, it is the same setup, right? We talked about if his body is that way or towards me, I always finish it by stretching my leg to finish choke. Okay? Now, it comes in several different ways, right? Some of these, especially with the no-gi, there's a high chance that you're going to get a little bit of a crank in action from those. It's going to vary in mileage because of different ways our bodies come together. The cleanest of all those is going to be the lapel choke. The lapel choke is going to give you the most. So that's our coverage of actually getting into our opponent. He defends everything. We're able to get into that no-gi variation of Peruvian.